Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It is July the 4th, a Friday. I'm Nadine Blaney. Well, all eyes on the ASX this morning after a record-breaking night on Wall Street. SPY futures are pointing to a 27-point lift, or about 0.3% at the open. A surprisingly strong jobs report helped lift sentiment in the US, with investors seemingly unperturbed by dwindling chances for a rate cut this month. Instead, relieved the US economy is holding up. Those are record highs, you see, for the S&P and the Nasdaq, with both markets notching a third week of gains. U.S. markets are closed for Independence Day on Friday. The Dow is up by 0.77%, although trading volume was lighter ahead of the long weekend. Nvidia rose closer to a $4 trillion valuation, rising 1.3%, and is set to overtake Apple as the world's most valuable company. TripAdvisor shares rocketed after the Wall Street Journal reported that Starboard Value, an activist investor, had built a 9% stake in the company. Lucid shares rose after it reported a 38% rise in quarterly deliveries, and Datadog shares jumped with the cyber firm set to join the S&P 500. RBC lifted its price target for defense stocks, citing AI and missile growth. Some of those performed well on the day, but copper miners fell after that strong U.S. jobs data, including BHP and Rio Tinto in New York. Well, U.S. President Donald Trump's tax cut and spending bill narrowly passed through Congress. The bill will add $3.4 trillion to U.S. debt over a decade and push millions of Americans off health insurance. It will also fund his immigration crackdown, make 2017 tax cuts permanent, and deliver tax breaks promised in his election campaign, amongst other things. Well, to that jobs data, which pushed markets to record highs, and after coming in unexpectedly hot with 147,000 jobs added in June and the unemployment rate falling to 4.1%. The non-farm report followed conflicting data from ADP, which showed that private payrolls unexpectedly fell in June, the first drop in more than 2 years. Wages growth also slowed. Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic says rates may need to stay on hold for at least a year. He also said he only expects one interest rate cut this year. Well, markets are now pricing in a September start to rate cuts and 2 quarter-point cuts by the end of the year. In other economic news, the U.S. trade deficit expanded in May because of a jump in imports. U.S. importers may be stocking up ahead of a possible increase in tariffs on the 9th of July and/or August 12th. The U.S. 10-year and 2-year yields rose after the jobs report, with the 10-year yield jumping from 4.26% to 4.35%. The U.S. dollar advanced against major currency pairs. The Aussie dollar had a volatile night. It's now sitting at 65.7. Bitcoin, well, it did rise by about 0.25%. Commodities reacted to the surprise U.S. jobs number as well. Copper, as mentioned, fell by 1.1%. Iron ore rose 1.5% to $96, and gold fell 0.9% on expectations for a later U.S. rate cut. Brent crude oil futures fell 0.3% to $69 per barrel. Investors are worried that U.S. tariffs could slow energy demand ahead of an expected supply boost. Today, locally, we get household spending in May. It's expected to rise by 0.5%. Next week, we get RBA and RBNZ decisions, along with the FOMC meeting minutes, though the main focus will be that U.S. trade policy deadline. July 9th is looming large. Well, that does it for the day ahead. I'm Nadine Blaney. We'll see you next week.